Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm making a recipe for a rye IPA that Jenny's actually going to brew pretty much all by herself. I'm just going to yell at her to do things. So it's morning of, and obviously I need to make a recipe before I can expect her to make a beer. So I've done a little bit of research, and I think we want to make around a 6% rye IPA, and I'm super into rye PAs that are basically tasting like bread. I don't think we're gonna do a dry hop in this one. Everything I've read says keep the later edition hops pretty minimal because they can mask the flavor of the rye, which is kind of the whole point of doing this. So we're gonna try to stick to around 40 IBU with around 1.0665 original gravity. That's the plan anyway. And I think we're gonna do about a quarter of our grist is gonna be rye. So 25%. And I plan on using Northern Brewer and Sabro hops. So Northern Brewer, it's kind of foresty, piney, and Sabro hops have like this mint cream thing going on. They are a more tropical hop, but they also have some dankness to them. So I think it'll be a cool combination to try. And we're not gonna do any additions after the 15-minute mark in the boil, just to prevent the masking of the rye flavor, which is the whole point. Okay, so we can get into it. Also, this is what rye looks like. It looks very different from just malted barley. It's smaller kernel, it's darker. We're gonna try to get this beer to kind of be on the darker end of an IPA color, so like a caramel color, kind of like a burnt orange, if you will. And let's get to it. I'm hoping this is pretty drinkable and light. I'm gonna use a really clean fermenting yeast, German ale yeast. What you use in a Kolsch or whatever. And I'll go grab that and tell you exactly what it is because I don't remember. Okay, so we're starting a new recipe and it's still really early. I told her that we needed to brew at 10, so it's like 8 now. Okay, so Rye PA. We're gonna do this in this room, so we're gonna use the claw hammer system. It's just easier than lugging everything downstairs. And I just cleaned my garage, so I don't wanna get into there with my burner and everything, so in the brewery it is. Okay, so I am changing my batch volume to 5.5 gallons. We're gonna boil for 60 minutes, pretty standard, and get rid of sparge. Alrighty, I'm gonna select my style. Let's see if rye IPA is in there. Rye beer, just generally. Rye IPA, BJCP coming through. Okay, so our IBUs are actually going to be on the low end, a little lower than they actually recommend for an IBU. But guys, I have been over hopping everything and I'm so freaking tired of hops. Like, my Imperial Red isn't very hoppy and I'm like so relieved. It's like everything I do, I have to like wait for a month for it to mellow out with the hops. It's ridiculous. So I'm okay with this. So allowed is 5.5% to 8%, original gravity 1.056 to 1.075. I guess you would almost call this more of like a rye pale, which IPA pale, whatever. All right, so our fermentables. I'm gonna use my Mecca grade Pilsner malt in this. I'm just really excited to use it in general and excited to see how the flavor marries with the rye. You can also use 2-row, whatever. The base malt's gonna get pretty covered up anyway. All right, so Mecca grade, Gateway. Oh, do I need to do a step mash for this? Step mash. Do I want to subject Jenny to that? I'm actually gonna change that. Yeah, I'm not going to use the Gateway because it's under modified, and I'll just save it for our Pilsner. So I'm going to use my Rahr Pilsner instead, just because I have a ton of it. So let's see what 6 pounds gets us. And then let's add 3 pounds of rye. I guess I should actually put it in. All right, so that got us to 4.3%. I'm gonna add a bunch of Vienna to give it a little spicy toastiness. I'll definitely have more than that. So we're at 5.3%. I'm gonna add some crystal malts. So I'm gonna add some Carafoam to give us some nice body. I don't know what the rye is gonna do, so let's just add half a pound of that. And I've got some Carastan that we're gonna use. Let's do 1/4 pound of that. And then I had another one that I was gonna use. Oh, Cara 45. I don't know why that's not showing up. Let's see why. Oh, it's Caramunich. All right, so we can just put Caramunich. And sure, let's add 0.25 of that. So that gets us to, oh my gosh, I don't know how I did that, but 25% almost exactly. I'm gonna go ahead and add another half pound of Pilsner just to get us closer to 6%. That should do well. Actually, I'm gonna add more Carastan. All right, that changed the color a tiny bit. Gives us more of a deep orange. Deep yellow. So for hops, let's throw in our Northern Brewer. All right, so I'm gonna put an ounce in at the 60-minute mark just to see where it gets us. Gets us to 25. Okay, so then I'm gonna add an ounce at the 30-minute mark of the same. So that got us to 44. All right, I'm gonna change that to the 20-minute mark. That got us to 40. And knocking down the 60-minute to half an ounce. All right, so we're at 28. And I'm gonna add my Sabro. I've got Sabro Lupo Max here, so it's like 19.5%. So I'm gonna add that at the 20-minute mark as well, and I'm just gonna see what 19.5. And at the 20-minute mark, that's too much. So we're gonna use half an ounce. Okay, so that got us to 46. I'm cool with that. So we're only adding 2 ounces of hops to this whole beer. But I mean, the Sabro was like basically a whole ounce in half an ounce. This really is more of a rye pale, which I'm fine with. I like them. I'm kind of over like super hoppy beers right now. So let's do our water. So I'm gonna change it to just my LA tap water with a pure filter. And then I'm gonna see if a rye is in here. Nope. So I'm just gonna change it to an American IPA then. And auto. Cool, lots of gypsum. That'll make it pretty crispy. No sparge. Save. So our mash, we're gonna do a 60-minute mash. And, you know, a lot of people said that if you're doing a rye IPA, because they don't have hulls on the rye, you can get a steck sparge. So they suggest that if you're not, like I'm doing brew in a bag, so that doesn't even matter to me. There is no steck sparge in a brew in a bag. But you can do a beta glucan rest at, I think like 100 degrees, and it should keep it from gumming up the works. So that's something to keep in mind if you're using not a brew in a bag system, but for our purposes, this is fine. I'm gonna mash it 150, make it pretty fermentable, pretty dry, and I'm gonna ferment it at 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And let me just see what yeast we have for this. Okay, so I've got some Safale K97. It's a German ale yeast, so hopefully it gives us a pretty clean profile. It does say something about Belgian type wheat beers, but I'm hoping that that is wrong. Let's see what temperature this is supposed to ferment at. It is in Celsius. Okay, so it's supposed to ferment between 59 and 68 degrees, so 65 is kind of the middle range of that. Sounds good. We could brew it a little colder, but I think it'll be all right. Also, by the way, guys, it says on this package, sprinkle directly into the wort. It doesn't tell you to rehydrate. I know you guys ask me a lot of questions about why I don't rehydrate, because it's another step. Why would you do another step when it works just as well to not? All right, so I'm gonna add that Safale 97. So it should have low esters. Okay, so that's great. Okay, so that actually pushed our ABV to 6.4%. I'm gonna drop my extra 8 ounces of Pilsner in that case. So now we're down to 6.3. That sounds good. So I think we've done it all. This is a pretty simple beer. It's just swapping out one ingredient for something we use all the time. And it should be super fun to make. I can't wait to drink it. Jenny and I are both huge fans of rye IPAs. So I'm honestly hoping this tastes like rye toast. I've had a rye IPA that actually legitimately tasted like rye toast. I had it at Arts District Brewing in downtown LA, and I am a huge fan. So I'm gonna go wake up Jenny so we can get started brewing, and I will see you guys in a few days when we post the brew day. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. I've got a Patreon going with merch, bonus content, early videos, ad-free videos, shout outs, happy hours, all the things. And you can find that right above me. I will see you guys next time. I want to thank my newest patron, Samir Salim. Thanks so much for your support.